This video clip of LeBron James is worth over $500,000 and somebody owns it. How on earth is this NFT worth that much? In fact, how in the pits of hell is any of this worth anything at all? That's what we're going to try and answer. I'm WickedWiz, and I would assume that this very easy to copy and paste image would not be worth this much, but apparently it is. I've seen many videos about NFTs, why they look ugly, why they're stupid, and more importantly, what they actually are. In this video, I'm going to try and figure out what really gives them value. Because although we can all agree that spending millions on an image is absolutely insane, people are still buying them and claiming that this is the future for digital assets and ownership. This of course wouldn't be an NFT video without trying to explain what an NFT is. By now you should already know what the acronym stands for, non-fungible token. But what does non-fungible mean? For something to be fungible, it needs to be replaceable. Let's say I have banana and you have banana and both banana are the same, so when we go to trade, nothing really changes. This means that the non-fungible part really just means not replaceable. The token is an image that's associated with a receipt. Now imagine a bunch of bananas lined up in a row. Each banana looks the same, but they are technically different. If I told you that you could buy one of these bananas, you would expect that each banana goes for the same price. You wouldn't buy a banana that's worth $500,000 if the next is only worth 20p. But what if I told you that by buying one of these bananas, you get a special receipt, and associated with this receipt is a unique image? Now, you don't own the rights to the image or the item in the image itself. This right here is quite simply just a receipt for you to hold to say that you bought this banana. If that sounds similar to you, then you probably watched Josh Strife Hayes' video talking about what NFTs actually are, and I'd recommend you go ahead and watch that after this if you want to learn a bit more about it. An NFT by nature is quite simply a bit of code with a receipt attached to it, and that receipt comes in the form of either an image, audio, video, 3D asset, and probably much more. It's non-fungible because it cannot be replaced, but if you can stand there and tell me that this monkey is worth that much, and that if I wanted to own a copy of it, when I can quite literally go to the website that sells them, right click and save on the one that I want, costing me absolutely nothing, then you can quite simply fuck off. There are NFT bros that seethe with rage over the idea that you can just copy their NFTs, and if you can see in the background here, I'm playing the Doom 2 mod, where you quite literally take photos of the Bored Apes. Like I said earlier, they don't own the artwork, and there's nothing in place to stop anyone on the internet from making their own copy. But you get the point. If you own a clip from Castlevania, you don't own the rights to it. You just hold a receipt that tells people that you hold some random position on the blockchain. By just explaining NFTs, you can see how worthless they really are, but still, there must be a reason as to why they're valued so high at the moment. I think one of the reasons behind this is that some people view them as collectibles, which on its own is a fair point, but to explain this in better detail, let me tell you a relevant but personal story about how a whole schoolyard of kids went absolutely insane with trading cards, to the point where kids actually bought in their own games consoles to trade for cardboard. Back when I was a little whiz, we already had Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but on one fateful day, the reboot of Doctor Who came out. With the 9th Doctor, played by Christopher Eccleston, it was a massive hit. You had the return of the Daleks, the Cybermen, and terrible, absolutely terrible CGI. Of course, with all this hype, a lot of merch and, more importantly, a series of trading cards came out that would end up not only ruining the pockets of many parents, but also the sanity of this entire school. Every lunch break, kids were crowding around in these massive groups, trading amongst each other, not actually playing the game that it was intended for, but just to try and get the rarest cards possible. Now think about it, what is one of the main things that kids crave at school? And I'm not talking about every kid here, but it's mostly popularity in some form or another. Everyone wants to be that kid with the rarest card, because by having the rarest collection of cards, you by default have a much greater status within that community. Now let's have a look at one of these cards. look, it's quite literally a piece of shiny cardboard, alright? It has an ugly character on it, that's all it was. But to the kids, it was much more than that. Now, admittedly, I absolutely love the design of the Daleks or the Cybermen. I thought that was pretty cool, especially if you had a shiny card. It's flashy and unique, and it has this greater sense of worth. This greater sense of worth or perceived value was so intense that when word got out that one of these kids owned one of the rarest cards you could ever find in one of these packs, you actually had kids coming in the next day with Lego sets, full decks of cards, and one kid who not only brought in their PlayStation 2, but every single game that they had. Perceived value is an interesting thing, and it's essentially when you as a customer buy something not because of the actual thing, but because of its perceived benefits, in addition to your own opinion about it. As a kid, I don't buy this card because it's made of cardboard. I don't even buy it for the artwork. I buy it because it's rare and because of the clout and popularity that comes with it. In this case, it's the status that counts. When it comes to trading cards in general, a lot of people see it as an investment, not just something that they would collect. There are people who just enjoy the process of collecting cards. There's that excitement of opening up a whole new pack, hoping to find a ultra rare card that not many people have. But NFTs, unlike trading cards, are always in mint condition. There will only ever be one version of this NFT, or at least people hope, because as far as I'm aware, the original artist could mint this again and create another NFT that is still technically non-fungible, but looks the same as the original. Another issue with NFTs is that there are so many being minted all the time. A lot of people just do it for a quick buck. I mean, honestly, some of the artwork is just disgusting. Trading cards, in a way, are limited. They produce a certain amount of them per series. And once they're done with that, that's it. And the only people that care about what NFTs you own are the people within those specific NFT communities. There's one aspect of NFTs that I think is overlooked a lot of the time in general discussion, and that's the community around it. You might laugh at these communities, you might see them as cults and such, but they do seem quite open on what they're all about. I might make fun of these apes from the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and I'm picking on them because they're probably the most well known at this point. Bored Ape seems to be more of a community, with a roadmap and full transparency with their goals. You're not just buying an NFT, you're buying a ticket into a club. An expensive ticket, yes. They have meetups, they have their own Discord, they have projects that they're working on as well besides these NFTs. When you take this into consideration, even though the value is still insanely high, you can at least put a price on something like that. I mean, yeah, that seems fucking worth it, doesn't it? After watching this amazing video by Solar Sands, who actually interviewed people about NFTs, you can see that people also put value into the image itself. If someone's going to make this investment, they at least want an NFT that they can identify with. On screen, you can see that I'm referring to Twitter right here, because if you don't already know, on Twitter, you can use your NFTs as profile pictures, which with my explanation as to what an NFT is and how easy it is to copy, sounds absolutely stupid. Also, the only thing that's actually unique about these profile pictures is that they're in a very difficult to copy hexagon. Not your standard peasant circle, a fucking hexagon. But this brings me into another aspect of NFTs, and that is the use of NFTs, the usefulness. What are they used for? I would argue that most, if not the majority, of NFTs are pretty damn useless. However, not all NFTs are the same. While most are simply just an image, audio clip, or whatever associated with a receipt, there is talk of NFTs becoming a lot more prevalent within, regrettably, the gaming space and even YouTube, as well as the corporate Zuckerverse that we all can't wait to see. As mentioned earlier, community is, at least to me, a part of the usefulness behind NFTs. Well, that's if you consider this more of a ticket into something rather than just something you would use within the community. From what I've seen, there really isn't that much use for NFTs, at least not right now. I think one of the main reasons as to why people are trying to buy in as early as possible is actually down to things like the metaverse, the promise of this new digital frontier where you can now own digital assets as if they were tangible. If you own this original piece of artwork, you can pass it down to your kids in the metaverse. So at least that seems to be the idea for some people. If you've got any other uses for them, please do let me know in the comments below, right past the subscribe and like button. This brings me on to the whole idea of it's an investment. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a financial expert to any degree. And if I was sat face to face with you, I couldn't tell you if NFTs were a bad investment or not, because it's really hard to tell where all of this is going. We can get an understanding, we can get an idea, and when you see these massive companies creating their own NFTs, trying to drive the market up, it does give this promise that it's not just people backing it up, it's massive corporations as well. When seeing NFTs as investments, you can't really talk about it without bringing up influencers. If you know anything about crypto, you know that there has been a lot of scams going on, especially with a lot of well-known influencers. It seems like people are just cashing in, selling out, and betraying their fan base. When an influencer tells you that this NFT is going to be the next big thing, you need to ask yourself, why are they telling everybody else? There have been quite a few cases where a group of people would mint an NFT and buy it amongst themselves, increasing the price every single time. They do this so that NFT looks as if it's going up in value, and going up in value fast. And all it takes is for an influencer to say that this NFT is going up and up in price, for somebody to then see that and then buy it in the hopes that it will still keep on going up in value. The person who bought that NFT outside of this circle here is now left with an NFT that was originally worth this much, but they bought it for this much, and is now struggling to find somebody else to buy it for a higher price, all because they trusted this influencer. Sometimes it doesn't even take an influencer, people just jump on it because they see an NFT popping up in value and they just grab it as fast as they can. There's that fear of missing out, especially if you're obsessed with the idea of making money. Do you remember the epidemic? Not this one, this one. It hurts me to say, but I knew about Dogecoin before it went to the moon. A lot of people bought this coin because it was quite simply just a meme coin. It was meant to point fun at crypto. It had absolutely no purpose whatsoever besides being a meme. But then of course, Big Daddy Elon Musk comes along, makes one tweet, and pumps the absolute shit out of it. Now you've got a bunch of people who are millionaires overnight, and everybody is hearing about it on the news. This was a moment in crypto history that I think had a much bigger impact on the world than we like to give credit for. After this, everyone had this idea that if they get in early, if they buy a shitcoin early, they will make hundreds and thousands, if not millions, once it goes up. Of course, this wasn't really the case because the ship had already sailed, and then you have things like Save the Kids and Ice Poseidon. But I think a similar thing is happening with NFTs, where people think that if they get in early into this new technology, that we're not even really too sure what the actual worth of it is yet, that they might make millions in the future. And some people have made a lot of money from NFTs, but a lot of those people are the people that actually mint NFTs or steal artwork from artists or recently deceased people, because when you mint an NFT, you can earn a percentage from every single purchase. This is why it was so great for artists in the first place, because they can make a lot of money from their digital art, which was, in all honesty, pretty difficult to sell. I mean, you could sell posters, you can print it out on a t-shirt, but besides that, there wasn't really much else you can do besides commissioning art. The thing that drives a lot of this though is hype. Without all of the influencers screaming from the top of the hills about how great these NFTs are, nobody would be buying them. Nobody would be putting that much money into something like this. The value of NFTs is largely supported by the amount of hype generated, and let's have a look at an example here. Gary Vee, you know this guy? He's a absolute weirdo. I don't like the guy. He talks a lot of shit.
What? Oh my God. What is this? I'll tell you what it is. It is a bucket full of receipts. I do not know how to live in life. I do not know how to live in life. Live in life.
Now, he made these childlike drawings and minted them as NFTs. How much do you think this is worth? Surely it can't be that much. Well, this is how much it's worth. If you don't know Gary Vee and you're not a part of his cult, then you probably couldn't give a shit and would laugh at the idea of somebody actually buying one of these. But if you follow his teachings religiously,
every day make like literally once a day, genuinely sit there for 5 minutes and make pretend one of them got shot in the face,
then there would be a part of you that would want this, even if it costs that much. Because it's Gary Vee. To you, the perceived value might seem worth it, and your justification could be that it's an investment. All Gary Vee needed to do was to create some hype around this, make a few videos of him drawing it. That, along with his influence, is enough to sell this piece of shit giraffe. There's this idea, this hope in people's head that they will make their money back and more if they get into one of these NFTs as soon as possible. I don't think a lot of people actually care what NFT it is. Unless you're a diehard fan of the McRib or LeBron James, the idea of buying this at a lower cost than what it would be worth later down the line is an idea that people have been trying to chase for a long time. It's the same thing with crypto. Buy high and sell low. When it comes to the investment, it's not the NFT itself, it's the dream that comes with it. The promise of greater wealth. It's really difficult to make a conclusion about this. I can't point at one thing and say NFTs are valuable because of this. The perceived value of NFTs is obviously very high, and it really does depend on the individual. It may not be worth anything to me, it may not be worth anything to you, but it would be worth something to someone else. The true worth, the true value is something we're yet to really see. At the moment, NFTs are very overhyped. Everyone's trying to get in as early as possible, and we've got to remember that this is only the beginning, and we're yet to see how NFTs evolve and are adapted later down the line. But I can say the main driving force, at least from what I see, largely is around the hype. The fact that everybody's talking about it at the moment and everybody is trying to buy an NFT to get in early. And I'm not going to bash on the tech entirely. I mean, it's probably not too great for the environment, and it's not like NFT bros don't give a fuck. I mean, they do. They want to ensure that this technology is as viable as possible. But even when you look at stuff like the community surrounding it, the price to get in, the price for entry seems so unbelievably high. I don't think NFTs are entirely worthless. I know people say they're worthless because once they explain what an NFT is, it does sound pretty damn worthless, but I think we're yet to see the true value of NFTs, and it's going to take a while until this stuff cools down. I feel like over time, when the hype dies down, that people will either forget about NFTs or not really see them as a good investment. Although I'm against it, I can imagine that NFTs within the gaming industry will be treated more like annoyingly rare collectibles for people who are obsessed about cosmetics. But only time will tell, and perhaps we can cover that in more detail in another video. The only question I have now is, how long is this going to last, and how will this evolve? But I want to know from you guys, do you think NFTs are truly worthless, that it's all just a bunch of hype, or do you think they're going to become more prevalent in the future and finally have a more realistic value? I'll see you guys in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and like the video if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.